Alright, what do we have this week? Nintendo gets smoked by Homeland Security. Steam game is found to be a crypto drainer. Paradox makes a 180 turn after making progress. Shocker. All that and more on this week's Old Man Rages at the News for the 29th of September 2025. Before we get into the news this week, hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. And we're kicking off this week with who? Nintendo and their outlandish demands for Palworld to remove mod support and claims that it's illegal. Yep, you heard that right. Nintendo claims that mods are illegal. Let that sink in. Looks like Nintendo entered the age of delusions in order to win their pathetic lawsuit. And it's not very effective. If you do want a little bit more info, I'll link the Eurogame article in the sources, but the important part is, Nintendo asserts that Palworld's mods expose developers to lawsuits unless they are removed. They're also suing over the quote Pokemon mod, alleging Palworld's success relies on stolen Pokemon art. Sure Nintendo, sure, and your success relies entirely on Dragon Quest summoning mechanics, but I don't see Square Enix hunting your ass down with lawsuits now, right? Now, the thing that I find absolutely amusing is that Nintendo fans are calling for the Department of Homeland Security to get sued over, guess what? Using Pokemon's opening theme song on a video and a few images from it as well, even though I believe that this falls under fair use. But then again, take this with a grain of salt, because I am not a lawyer. Now, who is a lawyer? Legal Mindset. And guess what? He made a video on the topic. If you want a lawyer's opinion, go watch the video. Suffice to say, it's very enlightening. But then again, Nintendo is probably losing their minds over another game from Pocket Pair, Pal Farm. Well, do I think Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are losing their minds because somebody's actually competing with them? Yes, I do, and I dare you to prove me otherwise in the comments. Now, IGN also claims that the Pokemon Company did respond to them and stated, "We are aware of a recent video posted by the Department of Homeland Security that includes imagery and language associated with our brand. Our company was not involved in the creation or distribution of this content, and permission was not granted for the use of our intellectual property." Now, the asshole in me really hopes that the Pokemon Company tries to sue Homeland Security. The fuck around and find out will be amazing! I mean, picture this. You are a company trying to sue the country you try to do business in. I wonder how that can go wrong. Oh wait, it's not some lowly developer or somebody that was just named Mario or, a supermarket maybe. It's a country. And I'm pretty sure they have more funding than your ass. So yeah, Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, please sue Homeland Security. I'll be waiting with bated breath. Now, in other Nintendo-related news, and, well, not sure if it's related, but we have Doug Bowser retiring from Nintendo of America. And they put Devon Pritchard as the successor. But let's be real, they should have put somebody that was called Mario in charge. At least that would have been on brand. I mean, it would have been more fitting. These are Bowser's parting words. Press pause if you want to have a read for yourself, or if you're curious. All I'm gonna say is,
so long, Bowser!
And in other news, I managed to find what happened with YouTube, and Josh Strife Hayes might have been correct on this one. But for some context, most ad blockers use EasyList, and EasyList did this change on the 11th of August, where they added the URL youtube.com/api/stats/ATR, and uBlock Origins Lite added it on the 12th of August, resulting in all that viewership dropping. So it wasn't YouTube nor spiffing Brett's speculations. It was just a singular line of code that was added. Thanks, Theo Joe, for this info. Surprising that not a lot of people saw this tweet, especially since there is paper trail of these updates. And now to wrap up this saga nicely, at least I hope, Borderlands 4 sales report suggests it's selling slower than Borderlands 3.
Oh no, how could this have happened? It was supposed to be an amazing game.
I wonder. So, the current number is 2.5 million players for Borderlands 4, which is impressive for such a low-performing game. But even as the article points out, Borderlands 4 managed to sell 5 million in its first 5 days. Gamalytics also has stats, and it estimated that anywhere between 1 million to 2.7 million copies were sold just on Steam alone. And at least they finally decided to address the low FPS and crashes problems, even though, as a reminder, Randy Pitchford called his players stubborn for trying to run a game at 4K when it was shown that people had issues at 1440p. Randy, I think it's time to go back to South Park. You're not cut out to be a game developer. Also, coincidentally, if you want to see something funny, compare these numbers to Borderlands 3 for the first week. You'll have some fun there. And now for something utterly unhinged. Block Blaster was found to have a crypto drainer in it, and it stole 30k from a cancer patient. Steam really needs to increase their security and triple check these things. However, after some digging, it was discovered there are 907 victims and a lot more, so I'll just go over the TLDR summary here. Rastaland got Block Blaster from Steam that contained the crypto drainer. He lost the 32k that he got for the treatment on his stage 4 cancer. Mad Lads got together and did some digging. ZSS Becker donated 30k to him. And malware nerds came together and found the drainer infrastructure, pulled all the victims' data, and they were notified. The malware was flagged and people found the drainer's Telegram and Steam IDs. Sadly, it came down to people to find this asshole and expose him. Valve really needs to step up their checks if there are crypto miners, malware, spyware, etc. Not just make sure the game runs and be done with it. And in more we can't have nice things in this day and age news, the Battlefield 6 forum mods on Steam are permanently banning users for mentioning a senior developer's mocking comments about Charlie Kirk's murder. We won't ever be able to escape talking about this guy, are we? Can the game industry collectively forget their passwords for social media for a week, please? Thank you. I mean, the gamers will also love it, considering most of the game developers are making asses out of themselves. Oh well. You can see here the post was quoting what Brian J. Audette said on his Blue Sky, and the reason why I'm showing another person's screenshot instead of going to the profile and showing that is because, or as per usual with these kinds of quote people, the moment any form of backlash is inflicted upon them, they turn tail and hide. Cockroach style. You know, that style where you go into this rundown motel in the movies, you flip on the light and all of a sudden you have 4 cockroaches running towards whatever crevice they can find type of style. They also locked down a few threads talking about not buying or refunding the pre-order, but it seems they gave up on doing any form of moderation about this, with the newer posts, at least from what we've seen so far, have remained mod-free. So at least there's that. Paradox loves take a one step forward, 2 steps back approach, and now journalists are not happy with the game. Shocker. Start off, the journalist here mentions how it nails the atmosphere of the original tabletop RPG, and they talked about the story here. However, there is a title called Mask Off. And they wrote, I quote here, Borderlands 2's combat is too awkward to be empowering. Fights against ghouls or lesser vampires almost always saw me badly outnumbered, and with a first person's perspective limiting my peripheral vision, the result was that my respected elder vampire spent rather a lot of time getting sucker punched in the back of the head. Yikes. I don't know why they chose first person, but even later they mentioned that complex powers felt fiddly to deploy and simpler ones often worked as a limited use I win button. They even called the stealth system disappointingly crude and held back by dim-witted enemy AI. But it also seems like the boss was too strong to fight in a toe-to-toe fistfight. Naturally though, I will be skeptical on all of that, and I want to see the gameplay for myself, because, as per usual, these journalists do not provide proof they played the game. So, for all we know, they could be making this shit up. Now, general rule of thumb here. Always wait for reviews to be released from other people and cross-check with multiple reviewers to make sure the game is what you expect before buying it. And ideally, if you can find reviews that have, actual in-game footage in the background or displayed, that would be even better. And now for more delusions. Some people truly believe that greed is good, and now they're paying the price. All because Starbreeze saw backlash on the $50 price hike on their DLC bundle, and now they're claiming it was all an error. Earlier this week, Starbreeze launched a subscription allowing players to pay $5 a month to access all of Payday 2's DLC. However, they didn't mention a price increase of the bundle that contains all of DLC from $100 to $150. That happened at the start of September, and as you can imagine, the player base was not happy. The head of commercial, Gustav Nisser, said in a statement to game developer that they, quote, dropped the ball on coordinating internally and communicating with our community properly, which, to translate from corporate speak, is basically them trying to dodge accountability. At least they bit the bullet on this and have reverted the price of the DLC bundle to the original. But, to be honest, I'll still be on the lookout if they do something similar in the future. You never know with corporate greed how bad it will be, as this whole situation just screams an attempt to push the player in a direction that will milk more money from them. Now, for the world's most boycotted game. Sucker Punch is trying to do whatever it can in order to get more sales. And now the studio head comments on the dev that got fired for the Charlie Kirk comments. Oh, and by the way, Kotaku, it wasn't a joke, it was a serious statement. The studio head, Brian Fleming, told this to Steven Tilo's Game Files, and I quote, and by the way, you can't make this statement up. Drew is no longer an employee here. I think we're aligned as a studio that celebrating or making light of someone's murder is a deal breaker for us. And we condemn that kind of in no uncertain terms. That's sort of our studio, and that's kind of where we are. Oh, brother. Where do I start with this shit show? Alright, I personally don't like how he's trying to be so non-committal with his statement. He needs to assert that murder is bad, and he would get some brownie points, but nope. Just half-ass, I believe type of bullshit is what we get. I would not be surprised if someone leaks the internal Slack messages of the company or Microsoft Teams or whatever they use. And it turns out this guy was also making fun of a dead man. But this is me assuming the reason why he said it like that. I mean, after all, they're still employing Erika Ishii alongside similar activists, and I'll shoot straight. Erika Ishii claims to be Antifa. And fun fact for you all, Antifa is designated as a domestic terrorist organization in the USA. So yeah, you can put two and two together, right? I still can't believe this dumbass went into the interview and gave such a half-assed response. Oh, and by the way, the features trailer on IGN site got ratioed with 1.6 7k likes and 5.5k dislikes. And surprisingly enough, PlayStation's trailer is somehow holding out at 15k likes versus 12k dislikes. No, then again, that's just under a weekend? You know, make of that what you will. And now for something actually good. Ninja Gaiden 4 and its difficulty settings. Now, why am I talking about this? Because when you look at the difficulty settings, that's how you handle a game's production. Now, for subject on hand, there are 4 difficulties: Hero, Normal, Hard, and Master Ninja. Hero mode is basically easy mode for those who just want to relax and play the game, and it will include features like auto evade, auto block, and auto assist. Basically everything that a games journalist needs. You can also disable them if you feel like it and set up the auto block and auto evade to only trigger at low health alongside what seems to be other accessibility settings. So far, so good. But wait, not only that, you can also change the difficulty mid-game as seen in their video. But if you select Master Ninja difficulty, well, that's it. You're locked into that one, Chief. Oh boy. Can't wait to see streamers fall for this live on Twitch. In Chapter 2, you also gain access to Training Mode, which, as the name implies, allows you to train your skills. Once you clear the story mode, you also get access to Master Ninja difficulty that allows stronger foes to appear early on and makes them more aggressive. Oh well, there goes my expectation of somebody accidentally enabling Master Mode. And to top it all off, the game also includes hidden trials known as Purgatory throughout the story mode that give you a feeling of how the difficulty plays out. Overall, this looks like competent developers got together and thought out the difficulty on how it should work. Take note, game developers. And in things I never thought I would cover, I really didn't think I would have to talk about Ananta, considering it's literally the world's biggest nothing burger in terms of, well, controversies. I mean, aside from journalists being pissy and, well, some mentally challenged individuals claiming that it's using similar, if not downright exact same animations as other games. But, you know, in the background you should have Ananta's gameplay trailer with features like swinging around using animations similar to Spider-Man. And ironically enough, the trailer is on PlayStation's YouTube channel. Yes, let that sink in. PlayStation is owned by Sony. The Marvel Spider-Man games are published by Sony. If it's a big deal, as some mentally challenged individuals online make it out to be, do you think a multi-billion-dollar company would allow a trailer to go up on their YouTube channel if it infringes on their copyrights? I sure as shit don't think so. And now let's go over the stuff, and thank you Permaband for this info. Ananta is heavily advertised and marketed by Sony, which, as we've shown on the screen, and Sony also owns Insomniac Games. And with a quick Google search, it will allow you to confirm that for yourselves. They also wrote that NetEase partnered with Marvel and produced arguably the most popular Marvel game in recent years, aka Marvel Rivals. And you can even see NetEase logo all the way down at the bottom of the game's website. And the final thing that I want to mention is that NetEase and Sony had a high-profile partnership back in 2021, and as Permaband mentioned, they could have continued that deal, allowing us to speculate that Sony most likely allowed NetEase to use these animations, and if it's as big of an issue as people made it out to be, then we would have not seen the trailer shown on their official channel. I mean, it's fine to call it lazy or anything along those lines, that's your opinion, but to me it This is literally a nothing burger. It's trying to spark a flame without even so much as providing fuel for the fire. That or game journalists are hating the game because it's not bowing down to their worldviews, and they're going like,
respect my authority, eh?
now, who would have thought? Actual in-game footage from Black Ops 7, by the way. They reminded people that Activision can make trailers using in-game footage. And then they got ratioed hard on their reveal trailer. Now, let's mosey on in the comments, see what people think. The most heroic thing about this reveal is leaving the comment section on. Looks more like a call-out edit than a trailer made by a multi-billion-dollar company. I bought this game 12 years ago. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? Deadass don't think I've ever felt this apathetic towards a trailer for anything before. I feel absolutely nothing. Pre-order now to get early access to the open beta. Is that a threat? Man, talk about a temperature check from the Black Ops community. I wonder if Activision is gonna close the comments. Only time will tell. But with comments like these, I kinda want it up. It's gonna bring out such wonderful gems. Now, as the song goes, guess who's back? Back again. Unreal's back. Tell a friend. And tell them that it's with Unreal Performance. But who's with Unreal Performance? Well, that will be Silent Hill F. Well, this time it's not as bad as Borderlands 4. In the background, you'll see a clip from Nictel, and he showed that on a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and an RTX 5090 with 4K DLSS for performance / epic. You would get spikes. As I said, it's not as bad as Borderlands 4, but I suddenly showed a video where he starts with 95 FPS, but the moment he starts walking, the movement and moving the camera, it drops to 70. And it weighs between 70 and 85. So apparently you can get more performance out of Unreal 5. But not much by the looks of things. Now if it was just those two isolated cases, I wouldn't add this. But there are also reports that the game is also struggling on PS5 Pro. The technical analysis from Digital Foundry revealed that the PS5 Pro users have no option but to play in the enhanced mode. That blends PS5's quality and performance modes into one mode. Even though it sticks to 60 FPS, there are issues like shimmering glass, noisy shadows, and flickering reflections. All the issues that you don't really want when your game is based around immersion. Since, it removes the immersion and your horror-driven story game ain't exactly horror-driven anymore, is it? I'll link the video that Digital Foundry made in the sources if you use a PlayStation 5 and want to look more into the details yourself. By all means, go have a look. And finally, some good news. Shoot and Order addressed the English localization issues in their latest patch, including mistranslation of characters' pronouns. On the 19th of September, the game got revisions for its English translation in its new patch. Before this patch, there were inaccuracies, typos, punctuation issues, text leaving the box, and Localizers' favorite thing, pronouns being swapped around because apparently the words you and I are illegal in their worlds. The problem was so bad that Takumi Nakazawa had to clarify that the game didn't have a transphobic character. Shit hits the fan when you have to clarify stuff like this, right? Takumi also announced on Twitter that the patch fixed the English translation, especially the problematic Ministry of Health route, but still mentioned that there are translations that remain unfixed due to the huge amount. I just hope they got a good localization team now to fix the mess made by these activists, because holy shit, I don't know how those cockroaches keep getting jobs. I mean, at this point, I'm all in on AI replacing these activist localizer cockroaches until they get someone who can competently localize the game and fix this shit. And speaking of cockroaches, Sweet Baby Inc. is back and claims that cozy games like farming sims promote colonialism and must be changed. How and why, you may wonder? Well, that's a good question. And the answer is quite simple. It's a delusional take on their part. Are you surprised? No? Alright, good. Now, this whole thing was discovered by Gothic Therapy, so if you want more updates on Sweet Baby Inc. or generally other DEI bullshit that's going on in the industry, I'd suggest checking them out. So, at the 2025 Game Devs of Color Expo, didn't even know that's a thing, but hey, the more you know, Tristan Tarwater gave a talk about decolonizing cozy games, and yes, you heard it correctly, and yes, she used this eyesore for her bulletin points. It will be on the screen. If you want to read it, go for it, but to spare you the headache, it basically boils down to questioning the genre itself. But don't worry, there's more insanity. Good thing is that it's done by a bunch of morons, so we can point and laugh at them. They asked the same question as me, and gave the answer with bulletin points, saying there are so many white people, an outside individual who saves the day, saying that the land is there for the taking, corn and wheat make the number go up, and many more things like quote-unquote straight-up racism. And here I am, absolutely losing my marbles just reading this bullshit. I mean, insane asylum writings have more sense in them than this thing. I also can't believe I'm seeing the Gregorian calendar being linked to colonialism, let alone the 4 seasons that everyone in the world experiences. Well, to a lesser extent, depending on where you are in the world, which country, geolocation and whatnot, but anyway, you get the idea. Now, how is farming linked to colonialism? I don't fucking know. But according to these brain-damaged idiots, nature is linked to colonialism. And if you said capitalism, yeah, sure, I can see that, but holy fucking shit. Saying colonialism is linked to farming is an absolute batshit crazy take. Farming wasn't exactly invented in, well, I don't know, the Middle Ages. That shit went before that, but anyway, that's history. These retards obviously don't like history. But don't worry, the ride doesn't stop here. They ask the dumbest possible questions like, what does safety, keyword here being safety, mean for the audience we are trying to reach? And also, how is time measured? And how does this play out mechanically and narratively? And my counter question to that would be, well, counter questions would be, are you an alien? 1. And 2, did you hit your head a lot when you were little? How can you sit there with a straight face and ask people questions like that? I mean, not really surprised they're asking that, considering the best part about all of this show. I mean, they gave some examples out of games that should be checked out. One of them being Tales of the Shire. And we all know that shit was abandoned by its audience. The same audience they're trying to appeal to. And ironically enough, there was nothing mentioning Stardew Valley, the gold standard when it comes to farming sims. Well, cozy games, more like it. But anyways, moving on to an even bigger shit show from Sweet Baby Inc. And arguably a higher profile one, the Wolverine game. As it was confirmed that the person who worked on Concord's character art is now working on the new Wolverine game. And Sweet Baby Inc. were consulting on that game. Well, on the bright side at least, the game still has the bloody aesthetic you would expect from a Wolverine game. Though I wouldn't put it past it at one point for them to change Wolvie's claws into, I don't know, flowers, But it's still a matter of time to see how much damage Sweet Baby Ink did to it. But even the idea of Sweet Baby Ink touching a game is enough to put some people off from buying it. Oh well. Sadly, nothing more on this week's news. Was hoping to end on a good note, but hey, it is what it is. Again, hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you next time.